Hey, welcome back to the library. We are the Movie Codex. My name is Brian.
And I'm Mandy.
And we are here to do the spoiler review of Insurgent. We're going to be talking about the book and the movie and the adaptation between the both of them.
Sounds good to me. Like we told you in our first movie, Insurgent is the second installment of the Divergent series, and it starts off where the Divergent book left off.
It started off with them going to Amity, and
Government system was how we expected it to be.
They didn't really show much of, but really it was just. It started in the book. They started off in little groups, and when they finally agreed on something, they found like another little group until they found a common agreement, and then boom, 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 until you had like a large agreement of something. And I just sort of like how they just said Joanna just said, "Come on in." And Joanna, to me,
she was stronger in the book.
She was strong. It was sort of like a waste of a character and a waste of a talent from Octavia Spencer. Honestly, like we said in our first video, anyone could have played her. And to me, it was like there's how Joanna was used with later on in the book. How she became actually a key figure in a way. Another character that they've really cut us short on was Marcus.
Big time shortage of Marcus. Like, I kind of felt like he got gypped.
I mean, Marcus...
I'm not a fan of Marcus, but...
As a character, though, he was necessary.
One scene.
Yeah, and...
One scene.
You get a great actor like Ray Stevenson playing Marcus, and when we were watching this movie, it was sort of like this team just took the timeline from the book. It's all you got was a timeline. And that's what I sort of don't like about movies based off of books. If they just
use the blueprint or the timeline.
They take the timeline, they don't really
make it how they want.
Because we were talking about the relationship between Triss and Four.
Well, in the book, Four, what we said in the first movie, in the first video we just did on the movie, was that he was that good man. He was standing there by his girl, like any girl would want him. But in the book, there is a battle between the two of them. And she is very headstrong and very leads with her heart and leads with her gut, and he is the thinker. He kind of wants her to think things through and make sure she's taking the right steps, and he gets very angry at her.
It's like, funny thing is, like in the book, it was sort of like too much drama between the two of them. Now, it was like, he sort of like was like as a strategist would in the military. He's like saying, he tries to get big picture, where Triss, in a way, she
leads with her heart.
She leads with the heart, and she would see, there's times where like they would be on a mission, and there would be like a scouting mission, and Triss would see Janine and break all protocol, chase after Janine, and get her team caught in a crossfire, and which that would lead to a big fight between her and Four. And another thing that between the two, there was a lot of secrets. In the movie, they said, no secrets between us, and that was it.
But there really were. They both held on to secrets.
They was like, yeah, they were.
They both held on to secrets. Just because they didn't want the other person to see them in a different light. They didn't want to reveal a piece of them because they were afraid of being hurt. And that are my opinion that they were afraid of being hurt. But when she left for Erudite, he was very angry. And I think where you see the anger the most is when he gets there to help get her out of Erudite or out of the trouble that she's in. He is very angry with her. And in the movie, it's just kind of like,
heartbroken.
I'm here for you, babe.
When we went to Erudite, it was sort of like heartbroken, but it was like what guys would say to their girlfriends to make them happy and to get a little bit of beneficial things on the side.
Yeah. But in the reality, in the book, he was very upset. He was heartbroken. He was upset with her. He didn't like that she was this way. But we've gone back and forth about is it character flaws? Is it how they were created, or is there something underlying with why they are the way they are?
And I thought with two up and rising actors with Theo James and Shailene. I got it first right the first time. I think they could have done better with their acting range. They could have pulled that part off. I just think they went safe.
Yeah.
In that, and that's where...
I do too.
And another thing where they really, really went safe is with the factionless, I think.
Oh, yes.
And Evelyn was played by the very hot... He was in my top 5
good actress.
List. Naomi Watts.
Oscar-nominated actress.
Still top 5 for me.
Oh, goodness.
List of 5. But anyway, it was like, man, it was a wasted character, I believe. In the book,
I don't think it was a waste. They gave us a glimpse of who she was, but in the book, she's so much more conniving.
She's a schemer, very big time schemer in the book.
Only out for one thing, and that's herself.
And she really played on Four's emotions. And it was funny in the movie. She was sort of like speaking to Triss, and Triss was like, "Well, maybe we listen to her, and Four's like, no, I don't trust you. It's sort of like Four was like, my mom, do I trust her? It's like you could tell that it was weighing on him, and Tris was the voice of reason this time. It's like, you can't. She's like, there's something off about her, and it's like in the book, you could just tell. Do you trust her? You don't trust her? It was.
It's her and Marcus. I felt the same way with Marcus too.
Yeah.
Four's parents. Like you can't. You don't know if you're supposed to trust them or not to trust them.
It's like, what is their personal agenda? And to me, I was like, okay, that's what I enjoyed reading the book. It's like, is it, when it comes to like the whole struggle of things, it's like, are they out for the greater good? Or are they out for themselves? And with Evelyn, it was just...
She's kind of that, like, she wants to help everybody. She wants to bring people out of this faction society, but at the same time...
Power.
She wants power.
And that's the whole... We'll talk more about that when we go to the end. But let's go to Candor. And one of the things that I was looking forward to... I think Jack Hang, played by...
Daniel Day-Wu.
Yes.
Daniel Day-Kim.
Kim.
I said that last time. Sorry.
I think
Kim.
I think he actually, out of the three, portrayed Jack best, and I think it was
stoic.
And he was sort of in the book. He was more like, "What's the best for Candor? Do we side with erudite, or
the factionless,
or with the factionless?" And to him, he wasn't what was right or wrong. What was best for them? But
and he was a big part, and thanks to Four, he, kind of kept them alive a lot longer.
Yes, he did. Actually, that scene, especially with Tris, I think they actually did a good job with that.
She did not want to do it, and they portrayed that in the movie.
They portrayed her struggle perfect. Actually, they did in the book. I thought it was done real well.
Let's go to Tori for a second.
Okay, let's talk about it.
She was a pivotal person in this book.
Very pivotal.
And again, not in the movie. I almost forgot about her in the movie.
I know, it was like they made her like a very forgettable character.
And somewhat Christina too. They were two very important women in this storyline in the book. Christina leaving with Tris and Marcus, and then of course Tori being divergent herself, really building up the Dauntless clan, for lack of a better word. A lot of the movie is about Tris going through the fearscapes that Janine puts her through, and that's where we kind of got.
It was very cheesily done in the movie.
I liked the box one.
I do like the box.
Ropes and the fire and Edith Pryor and but it's not really what happened.
No, and
there was no box. They didn't have to open a box like this key. Like
it was
that was definitely something that we kind of were like, really.
And I thought that was.
It was cool.
I think it was done cool, and I think I saw where they were going, but I liked it how again the book Janine was trying to study divergence, and she was always trying to do a new serum to find out how to control them, and she'd always test it on Tris, and Tris would be like...
She was able to stop it.
Like, this isn't real. And that struggle between Janine and Tris, I thought it was very well done in the book. I actually loved that in the book. It was like...
But in the movie, it's almost like she was just looking for this person. Any divergent will do. To unlock this box. They had a key. They had to pass all the different
tests of each faction.
They had to show candor. They had to show selflessness. They had to show bravery. They had to show everything. Because she was, what they say in the movie, 100% divergent. Yeah. And you don't get that. You're either divergent or you're not. Like, there's no 40%, kill you off because you're only 40%.
There was, they did say something about, there was, some that had a little stronger will,
and you'll find more about that. He has not read the third book, but you'll find more about that in the third book.
To me, I thought that was sort of like...
It was just Hollywood. We'll just
say it was Hollywood. And it was... Can we talk about the subject of the war between the factionless and erudite?
What war was in the movie?
Yeah, I was going to say, what war? It was like...
Basically, the war in the movie was them rescuing Tris. That's pretty much it. There is not a war. There's not a battle. It's Four and his group, the factionless group that are joined up with the Dauntless group, going in to take Tris and get her out. But there was no battle.
But and like I said, again, they used the timeline. But this was like in the book when I read it, I stayed up pretty much almost all night when I got to when the factionless and the Dauntless, the loyal Dauntless, stormed erudite. And when having erudite use Candor like it's cannon fodder in a way. And so it's like, okay, they brought Candor in it because Candor had the second highest amount of people. And then you got the faction list. And then when Joanna in the book told Amity is like, I believe in peace. I don't believe in the need for senseless violence. She actually leaves Amity with a close group of her own true supporters, and they served as a buffer between the innocent and the soldiers, I guess you can say. And to me, that was like, I really respected Joanna for that one. It was she used herself as a human shield for good. And of course, again, wasted part of using a character like that. And then we were talking about Marcus. Triss's decision. This was like one of the decisions. Does Triss do what is right? Because of Marcus saying, this is the information that Erudite wanted. We have to get this information. That's what the people need. Or does she join her boyfriend for? She chooses the right thing to do. She and Christina go with Marcus and have their own little side mission. And that was, in the book, it was so well written, and it was very good.
When she turns herself in.
Not necessarily. I was talking about the second time after she turns herself in, but when her and Marcus and Christina join a couple erudite people, and they storm.
They storm the inner of erudite.
Yes, just to get the information, not to destroy the erudite itself, but to get this key information. And then, of course, I know I was talking about the throwdown scene in Divergent. Between Triss and Janine. They did not have that.
Oh no, it was, because I remember I was in the movie, we saw it yesterday, opening night with all the tweens. It was great. I told him, I was like, doesn't she die at the end? And he's like, yeah, she has a brutal death.
And by Tori.
Then it's basically starting to show the credits at that point. And we're kind of like, well, I guess she's not dying in this movie. But then Evelyn is the one that kills her in jail. And I'm like, that's not what happened. It's like a throwdown, punching, kicking, fighting, knives, guns, everything, But
I mean, yeah, it is like
followed the blueprint, followed the timeline.
Didn't have the meat.
It didn't, and I thought they could have done so well.
I wanted to see that throwdown between Tori. It was actually a throwdown between Tori and Triss, Tori and Janine. Janine, to me, it was just like bang. It wasn't like I didn't think she got her just desserts.
Executed style.
And then at the very end, it's like, when the dust was settling, and
they find out there's more beyond the wall.
More beyond the wall, but at the same time, it was like, this is where we're talking about Evelyn and her scheming. She had the factionalists somehow disarm all the Dauntless without them knowing, and then when Evelyn walks in and says, we're it now, we're the new leaders, and it shows the factionalists having all the power. That's where, to me, I was sort of wanting to see that in a way. It was.
You'll see it next month.
I mean, to me, it was like, I don't like, when they just use, like we said before, the timeline. That's all they take out of it. I was like, they had a beautiful blueprint in this book. I think Veronica wrote it pretty well. And I can understand taking things out for time's sake. But
it was a long movie.
It was 2 hours of, to me, it was like stuff that.
Not everything. It was good.
I mean,
it was a good movie.
I mean, it was like, we're not trashing it was a bad movie. It was just like, as from book.
From the book to movie adaptation, it was not a book to movie adaptation. No. It could have, like we said in our previous video, I could have not read this book and gone to that movie and not have known any different. Yeah. Because to me, the meat of this book was not in the movie.
And honestly, it's one of those things that's like, probably shouldn't read the book.
Don't even read. It's probably better just to go see the movie without reading the book.
And then read the book.
I feel like you'd be disappointed, and then read the book to find out what's missing.
We thought the adaptation could have been executed a little bit better, but that's what we are talking about.
That's what this is.
That's our little dry fest.
Opinions.
This is our nitpicking thing. So thank you for listening to us nitpick about it.
Yes, and go see it.
But,
highly recommend. We do recommend the movie. We do.
But like I said, to me, I was looking forward to actually wanting to see the factionless war against Erudite. What were you wanting to see?
I wanted to see a little bit more of the factions. I wanted to see more of Marcus.
Yes.
I wanted to see more of Christina. I wanted to see more of Tori. I wanted to see the relationship between Triss and Caleb.
This is kind of an interesting one.
Because it's a very interesting relationship. For some, again, Caleb's one of those characters you can't quite figure out. Is he good? Is he bad?
I say he's a chameleon.
How is he? So I wanted to see more of, I guess, the relationship. Wanted it to be true to the book is what I wanted. Yeah. It wasn't, but it was still a good movie.
It was a good movie.
I just want to keep reiterating that. It was a good movie. It just wasn't a good adaptation, in my opinion.
People who've read the book.
What part of the adaptation did you want to see?
Yes, please let us know in the comments section below. And as before, I'm Brian.
I'm Andy.
Give me a little bit of knowledge.
One click at a time.